Hey everyone, Donna Nelson here, holistic empowerment coach, lifestyle strategist, and organizational well-being consultant. I am on day 2 of sharing with you some stress management and emotional resilience tips, tools, and strategies for dealing with all the stuff that many of us are faced with right now and causing stress in our bodies, on our mind, in our spirit. And I want to be able to support you with that through the rest of this month, which happens to be National Stress Awareness Month. So today, as in the title, is about emotional stress. And how do we cultivate emotional well-being right now? And how do we combat this boredom and loneliness that so many are experiencing? So, how are you feeling right now emotionally? What's kind of on what's bothering you and in kind of your daily struggles around maybe being in isolation or even continuing to work or being out of routine, whatever those things are. What is it that's going on with you that feels hard right now, feels uncomfortable, feels like, where the hell did this come from and how do I get rid of it? What are some of those things? And here's what I know is that stress is our body's way of responding to a threat. And that can be a little confusing right now because, if you have that basic understanding, certainly nothing is chasing us that is a big physical threat. And that's usually what we think about when it comes to threats. But, in this day and age, the things that are stressful for us are impacting us mentally and emotionally. And that's coming from things that are negatively impacting us, whether it's our finances or the way that we're allowed to spend our time right now, our lack of social outings, our poor routines right now, whatever those things are that have kind of been shaken up and out of what is our normal. And that becomes a threat to us. So, but what is the threat right now, as most of us feel this kind of deep emotional stress, this emptiness or this loneliness, this kind of boredom where we have this like empty space within us and there's nothing to fill it. We don't know how to fill it because what we know that would generally fill it, we can't have right now. And this longing for togetherness and physical touch and just being in the community, in a bigger way than we're allowed to right now. And it's that connection. So I feel like the biggest challenge right now is the lack of emotional connection. And it's that connection that is the number one most important health indicator. So while often we think about things like, smoking and obesity and heart disease and, things like high blood pressure, whatever, is being, some of the top reasons or things that cause poor health or are detriments to poor health. There was a landmark study done by the University of Michigan that showed us that lack of connection is a greater determinant of connection in general, not like our lack of, but connection is a greater determinant of our health than obesity, smoking, and high blood pressure. So having this connection that we're all lacking right now in a meaningful way, whatever that is to each of us, is really important for our health. And so we need to have some ways right now that, because we're out of, without meaning and a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging and feeling loved and feeling worthy or having this sense of significance, which is what, being in our jobs, people are missing their jobs because that for so many is what gave us that feeling of making a contribution and feeling significant. And now without that and without those social aspects of our coworkers, we can start to feel really lonely and feel sad and then depressed. And then we start feeling hopeless. And that's the spiral where this lack of connection starts impacting our health in a major way, because when we are stressed, then we have all of these other health implications that come along with that. So when we have a strong social connection, this is what the study from the University of Michigan has showed us, is that we have a 50% increased chance of longevity. So having a strong social connection is actually life-sustaining and increases our life expectancy. So knowing this is a motivator and stresses the importance of, even right now, why we need to find ways to have this meaningful emotional connection. I'm going to share some of that with you. And of course, on top of that, it strengthens the immune system, because stress lowers the immune system and has a negative impact, because it's activating all of our stress hormones when we're feeling stressed, whether that's emotional stress, psychological stress, or physical stress from pain or from something attacking us or whatever, right? So this is what people are feeling and experiencing most right now, is this lack of connection, and it's threatening our overall well-being. So people who feel more connected to others have lower levels of anxiety and depression. Of course, based on what I've said, that makes sense, right? And these studies have shown that these people who have this higher level of feeling connected, and I'm going to help you understand how much of this is not about physical space, it's more about our perception and how we view things, and that's why it's going to be or could be easy, should be easy for you to create a shift in this. And but people that have this more connected to others in their lives also show higher levels of self-esteem, greater empathy for others, and are more trusting. And if you think about it, in this sense of being disconnected and this lack of community and this longing for emotional connection right now, what are we seeing and what are we experiencing in our communities is people are like at each other, right? Because there's this fear-driven motives right now, and people are not trusting what's going on because we feel threatened. Our hierarchy of needs is feeling threatened right now. And when that happens, then we don't trust and we become defensive. And, we'll go on about that. So it's interesting how there's so much truth to the research that's been done and what we're seeing and experiencing at a community level and at a global level right now. So what's the threat? Like, how does this emotional stress cause a stress for us within our bodies and in how we're seeing and feeling things? And the one of the reasons is because we're out of our normal routine. And anytime you're out of your normal routine, you start to feel this level of discomfort or stress because we have to change. And what is one thing as human beings generally we don't like? It's change. And so, part of our task, or that my challenge that I'm going to challenge you with through the rest of this month, is to find ways to be mentally flexible and more adaptable to change, so that when there's another hard thing that comes our way that is unfamiliar, that creates maybe even a sudden change in our routine, we have some tools. And not just tools, but you've developed this resilience, this kind of this flexibility, to ebb and flow like a tree. When the wind blows, you shift. If it blows the other way, you shift, right? So you're doing it with ease in a natural way that does not feel uncomfortable because you've applied some tools and you've done the inner work to build up this resilience and flexibility so that you're adaptable to change quickly and easily. All right, so the threat is, the first one is when we are out of our normal routine. So lack of what is familiar. So our primitive brain loves familiarity. And when you know this, if you're growing a business or you're in or out of it, trying to get out of a relationship, you're jumping into a relationship, you're investing money or thinking about shifting the way that you're doing things. Anytime we go to create change, up level our life, certainly when we go to take a big leap, our brain immediately, depending on your natural stress response, will either be like, run like hell, don't do that, or you'll freeze and panic and get knots in your stomach or whatever. And that's kind of what's going on right now. We're out of routine. Our brain is saying, what the hell is going on and why are we experiencing this? And we have all of this data coming in that's creating this new fear that is unfamiliar information for our brain. And so it creates this threat. So being out of routine is contributing to that. And so how does this create stress in our bodies? Response. Well, if we consider, one of the other factors with this is also, if we consider the psychological theory, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this is a really old theory. It's been practiced and it's used in business all the time. It's used in marketing all the time. It's probably one of the most important things that's used in marketing to get us to buy stuff or to get us to create change. And at the most basic level, so there's 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy of basic needs. These are basic human needs that have been determined. And at the basic level, we all know is survival, right? That's food, water, roof over our head, rest, like all of those things that our physical body needs to survive. It's all about just our physical being. And then the next level is safety. So what do we need to feel secure and safe? And then the third level is this sense of connection and belongingness and our love needs and relationships. And so if you think about, we'll just stop there, right? These are the 3 most important levels right now because our survival needs got threatened. So if you think about at the beginning of COVID-19, what was everybody fucking freaked out about? I'm going to have no food, no water. I can't wipe my ass. Let me get toilet paper. I don't know why that became the most urgent need, but because that is not a physiological need. But apparently someone's safety felt very threatened by that. And then as a society, there's just been like this snowball effect of following. So our physiological needs were threatened. We started thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose my house. My electricity is going to be turned off. I'm not going to have food. We won't have water. I better run out and get all of this. And so initially that big need was creating a challenge for us. And people were going out and buying in extreme bulks. And so now that that's kind of settled, we realize the grocery stores are going to remain open. There's going to be food. There may not be toilet paper and Clorox wipes, but we will have food. Our physiological needs are going to be met. So now we've moved to this fear around now as they've tightened up, you have to stay home. You can't go out and meet your friends. You can't hang out. And now there's certain things that are starting to affect what makes us feel safe. because now there is someone controlling where I can go, what I can do, and that threatens our well-being around feeling safe. And then that third level is that sense of connection and belonging and having relationships. And when those psychological needs start feeling threatened, and that kind of at our spiritual need, right, of that connection is being threatened, then it creates a stress. So anytime any of these levels are being threatened, it's creating a stress response within us. And so I understand that so that you can do something about that. So understanding where this is coming from and what you can do about it will help reduce your stress around it. Okay, so what can you do about it? So to help build some emotional resilience and shift your emotional state, you have to change your inner dialogue. So much of this is not, as I said, around being in physical presence with people. And if we even look at things like love language, which would be that third piece of Maslow's hierarchy, and that is love and connection and relationship and intimacy. My primary love language is physical touch. So me not, and anyone that knows me knows they get touched by me. I'm a hugger. I kiss everybody. And again, that's a way of me fulfilling my love language and feeling in connection with my friends and colleagues and all of that. So everybody is different. So for some who that is your lowest of all the love languages, that's not important to you. But connection is still equally important to all of us, regardless of how we get that. So it's the inner dialogue. So what can we do, especially for someone like me who isn't out in community and getting that physical connection that helps me feel a meaningful connection to those I care about? So when we're stressed, the challenge becomes that we're self-focused. So that's the first thing. When we become over-focused on ourselves, then it's hard for us to see solutions and be able to move into doing something positive. But here's a couple of things that you're going to be able to do. One, research shows us that volunteering and showing compassion to others has huge benefits on our sense of connection. And this is something I have always done. When I have felt my worst, when I had the worst losses, the very first, and it was just, for me, it was conscious, but I think it was a bit innate as well. I would go out and just immerse myself and look for different ways to volunteer in the community. And it was because I needed to get my head and my attention off of the shit in my own life that I couldn't control. Like it already happened, or I'm in it and I can't shift it. So let me go do something for someone else and at least help them through their struggle, since I can't change my struggle. And that has always been a big help to me. So right now there's huge opportunities, both online and offline, to support others. And it can be in money, it can be in social, doing something live, making a phone call to somebody, just checking in on people. And then the food bank, every food bank needs help. Everyone. The elderly need meals delivered to them. People, families with small children that are in low income need meals delivered to them. There's so many ways that we can help right now, even in this time of social isolation. So, and the second thing is ask for help. I know that it's a challenge, but you can just tell someone what's bothering you today. It doesn't have to be, this hard, deep conversation. Just tell somebody what's bothering you today. I had a sense one of my friends, something was going on a little bit earlier today. So I just sent a text and said, hey, how's your day going? And the message back was, oh, one of my friends, their kid died, and I just feel really bad about that. But I sensed that, and just sent the message because it just came to me like that. And so, just letting someone share something that I can't solve that, but I can show some compassion. I can empathize with that, and I can relate to that. So it just helps create that sense of belonging. And then I had two other things. Where's my paper here? And then I'm going to give you two more things. Expressing what we feel is important. So you can do this through writing in your journal. This is just really helpful from an emotional perspective by just journaling out what you're experiencing. And you can, what you're afraid of, what you're dreading, what freaking sucks right now, what you're tired of how you feel, tired of all the crap, tired of people, just acknowledging this to yourself, even though it's in your head and you're ruminating, but the ruminating is damaging. So just putting it down and throwing it out to the universe to get rid of it is really empowering, and it can be really cathartic. And then so write it down, speak it, into a recorder, go tell your dog. I mean, any of it, seriously, is going to be helpful for you. And then the last thing, protect your energy and what you allow in your space. It all wears on us emotionally. So be mindful of what comes into your space through what you're hearing or what you're seeing, what you're doing that feels heavy, and makes you feel a low energy emotion. And setting those boundaries for yourself will help protect you a bit. And then the last thing is, because I'm pretty sure I said that was the last thing, but I had one more thing and I just thought about it, is affirmations. So while you're working on protecting your space and your energy and all that, create some empowering and supportive statements about your life, something that will encourage you to feel hopeful and positive and have a new perspective, so that you allow yourself to stay in the current moment and not focus on the past, because we can't change that. And we certainly don't know what's going to happen in the future, so don't worry about that. So just find some positive, empowering statements, some I am statements that are going to be empowering and supportive for you. And if you need help with that, PM me or comment in the thread, and I will help you identify, based on what's going on with you, what those positive and empowering statements can be. All right, that is it for today. And tomorrow I will be back. So come join me tomorrow. Share a comment of something that might have been good and supportive for you. Share your own tips and ideas for emotional well-being and building resilience. And have a beautiful night. I'll see you tomorrow.